Tyson Fury is an enigma. To many, he exudes supreme confidence, blending Muhammad Ali-style charisma with a dazzling array of tricks in the boxing ring. He stands in stark contrast to Britain's reserved and respectful boxers of the 1970s and 80s, like Henry Cooper and Joe Bugner, who avoided speaking ill of their opponents. Yet beneath Fury's bravado lies a complex reality. Fury has struggled with mental health, battling bipolar disorder and depression. According to his father, John Fury, Tyson's outspokenness may largely stem from the lack of recognition Tyson received after defeating Ukrainian heavyweight champion Vladimir Klitschko. He notes, no crowds gathered at the airport to hail his return. There was no open-top bus parade. Instead, Fury became a casualty of Britain's boxing culture, adopting a showman persona to mask his own insecurities. In this video, we'll explore why Fury felt compelled to project this facade and trace the evolution of cockiness and arrogance in British boxing. Leave a like for the algorithm, let's get into this. British boxing has long emphasised sportsmanship and clean fighting. In 1921, featherweight Jim Driscoll lamented that Britain was losing to Americans and French fighters because it rejected holding, hugging, wrestling and rough business. Similarly, the Complete Boxer reinforced that boxers should respect one another and resolve disputes through the noble art. British fighters remained predominantly upright, stiff and preferred to talk through their fists, aside from exceptions like Rinty Monaghan, who would drop his hands and clown during bouts. The 50s and 60s produced boxers known for solid fundamentals and humble demeanours. Randolph Turpin's hearing issues left him withdrawn and uneasy with publicity, while Ken Buchanan's intense shyness and fear of failure kept him from embracing stardom. Henry Cooper epitomised respectfulness, rational and articulate, while Jim Watt was deemed unglamorous and lacking the charisma to rise further. The early 1970s marked a gradual shift in Britain's boxing humble culture, driven by Muhammad Ali's global influence. Iconic bouts like the Fight of the Century, Rumble in the Jungle and Thriller in Manila captivated billions, inspiring young British boxers to emulate Ali's brash, trash-talking style. Liverpool's John Conter and Charlie Magri embodied this change, showcasing charm, confidence and flair both in and out of the ring. The seeds of cockiness were being sown. At the same time, the British boxing scene was undergoing a transformation. Fighters once began their careers in quiet halls with strict spectators who frowned upon showboating or disrespect. Now, bouts were held in sporting clubs where rowdy, partying crowds cared little for boxing etiquette. Boxing news editor Harry Mullen criticised this shift, decrying the patronising and ill-informed attitudes of these audiences. To engage these crowds, boxers felt pressured to entertain, adopting trash talk and riskier, flashier styles. The rise of Frank Warren and ITV in 1984 amplified the need for cockiness in British boxing. Previously, the BBC's limited budget and preference for safe, predictable fighters meant only 25 professionals earned a full-time living, resulting in a restrained, risk-averse scene. Warren, driven by ITV's commercial expectations, used increased TV airtime to build fighter profiles, ushering in a new era of flamboyance, perfectly exemplified by Chris Eubank Sr. In his book, Tyson Fury reveals feeling pressured to be controversial, following the lead of showmen like Chris Eubank and Prince Nassim. While I've already covered Nassim and Brendan Ingle's role in shaping British boxers' cockiness in a video linked down below, let's focus on Chris Eubank Sr.'s influence upon fighters' conduct. Ben Deer's The Hate Game expertly examines Eubank's early 1990s rivalry with Nigel Benn, a defining chapter in British boxing.
Because he's just a puncher. He's only got a puncher's chance. I'm a skillster, I'm a fighter. I can punch as hard as he can. I can box, I can slug, or whatever he can. Everything is loaded in my favour for this fight. So I have nothing to say to Nigel. I find the man intolerable in that he's so wild. I have no time for such people. He has no class as far as I see it.
Chris Eubank exuded self-confidence, often telling his trainer, Ronnie Davis, "I want to be world champion and I know I'll be world champion." Such outward belief was rare in British boxing at the time, but Eubank had spent his early years in America. Training at Jerome Boxing Club in the tough South Bronx, he described sparring as grueling, with fighters often leaving on stretchers and in ambulances. Under coach Lenny De Jesus, Eubank honed a classic American style, blending toughness with creative movement. Eubank's close relationship with martial arts guru Walter Johnson inspired his theatrical ring antics, including dramatic poses, leaping over the ropes, and tapping his gloves intensely. By his early 20s, he brought this cocky American mindset and showmanship back to Britain. Although British boxing at the time was evolving, it still resisted overly controversial figures. In Eubank's 1989 fight against Johnny Melfer, a heavy right hand slipped through his guard, prompting this reaction.
And for the first time, Melfer gets through. Earns a cheer from the crowd. And Eubank hamming it up. What they call showboating in America. Crowd don't like it.
Yet, as Dirk notes, hostile crowds only fueled Eubank further. Like Mayweather years later, he embraced the villain role, drawing audiences eager to see him lose. Eubank further amplified this with provocative remarks, such as calling boxing a mugs game to provoke die-hard fans. With increased TV airtime, Eubank's eccentricity captured public attention, leading to massive viewing figures. His second fight with Nigel Benn drew 16.5 million British viewers, thanks partly to Benn's promotional soundbites. However, it was Eubank's cockiness which was the major draw, as seen in his second bout against Michael Watson, which attracted 13 million viewers. But this ultimately set the precedent. Being cocky and trash-talking ultimately made one inherently more popular and richer. But here's where the problem lies. Eubank vehemently rejected the suggestion that this was all a persona. He stated, "I haven't invented myself, I've become proper. This is what I am. This is not an act. It has not been premeditated." Although he certainly exaggerated at times for the cameras, the years since have underlined that Eubank is truly like this.
My bones are gone past brittle, and my muscles have gone past bruised. What? Come on, let's bring some gloves tomorrow. We'll have just a little session.
We don't even have to bring gloves.
Well,
we really don't have to.
He was unashamedly himself, enabling him to live as the character. Tyson Fury was not so lucky. In his book, Behind the Mask, Tyson Fury reveals he was shy and nervous in his early years, but felt compelled to adopt an arrogant, cocky persona as a professional. "I thought being myself wouldn't work, so I played a role for the cameras. Eventually I lost myself in this character because it was what people expected." He dressed up as Batman at a press conference, came out with homophobic slurs ringside, and protested a fine by gaffer taping his mouth. Like Eubank, Fury made outrageous statements, but unlike Eubank, they often strayed from boxing and touched on sensitive topics which many found distasteful. Instead of appearing unique or intriguing, he often came across as obnoxious, perhaps explaining the empty airport after his Klitschko victory. While fighters like David Haye mastered the balance of being polite and composed whilst delivering sharp, calculated remarks about their opponents.
After I've knocked out Shannon Briggs, who's been giving it a lot of that as himself. If you want to be on the list too, I'm knocking out all people talking too much, so get in the list, mate. You're going to get smashed to bits.
In contrast, Fury blurted out whatever came to mind, crossing the line for many in Britain. John Fury points out that during Tyson's outlandish remarks, he was seriously unwell, later being diagnosed with bipolar disorder in 2017. This diagnosis reflected a deeper struggle. Tyson had adopted a forced persona, following the blueprint of fighters like Eubank Sr. and Prince Nassim, believing it was the key to getting noticed. However, he became trapped in this facade, using it to mask his deep depression and crippling anxiety. He therefore became a victim of the British boxing system in my eyes, leading him down a dark path.
I was sitting here, £400, a drug addict, an alcoholic. By the way, I'd never took a drug in my life until I got to 27.
Really?
Never.
Nothing.
Not smoked weed, not nothing.
Tyson's redemption is well documented, marked by his victories over Deontay Wilder in 2 of their 3 bouts. He reinvented himself by separating his identity, the down-to-earth man battling anxiety and self-doubt, and Tyson the fighter, who trash talks, showboats, and believes unequivocally in victory. By embracing his vulnerabilities instead of living a damaging lie, he found freedom in the ring, taunting opponents at press conferences and delivering bold, crowd-pleasing performances. This has certainly reversed much public opinion. John Fury notes that, from a young age, Tyson studied boxing greats like Tommy Hearns, Marvin Hagler, Muhammad Ali, and Roberto Duran, which may explain his love for fighting with his hands down, using rope-a-dope tactics and taunting opponents. Tyson is also known for his bold predictions, a trait John Fury attributes to gypsy culture, where manifesting success is deeply embedded. This could explain Tyson's tendency to make grand statements, such as his claims ahead of the Usyk fight. Whether his latest prophecy proves true remains to be seen, only time will tell. But regardless, Tyson is a product of the British boxing transformation, from humble, often shy boxing pugilists to more outspoken, flashy competitors. He almost lost himself on the way, yet he's emerged a stronger, better fighter. But now I want to hear what you guys think. Have I correctly traced the factors behind British boxers becoming increasingly cocky and arrogant? Or have I missed any key details? Please let me know down in the comments. Additionally, why not leave a fight prediction? Can Fury secure the win and force a trilogy fight? Or perhaps a long-awaited matchup with Anthony Joshua? I'm very interested to hear all your thoughts. Thank you all so much for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Also, have a lovely Christmas and New Year. I've got lots more planned for 2025. Thanks and see you later.